All right, call the meeting to order. Jen, will you do roll?
Commissioner Delzer? Commissioner Erickson?
Here.
Commissioner Waldner?
Here.
Commissioner Abraham?
Here.
Mayor Lindsay?
Here. Before you, you have the minutes of the February 23rd meeting. Is there any additions, corrections to the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve February 3rd, 2014 minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Before you, you have the agenda for tonight. Are there any additions or corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for February 10th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Appearances, acknowledgements, and correspondence. We do have the Locate Madison Schools from the Leadership Madison Group here on School Signage Project, and whoever would like to be the spokesman, would you? Spokesperson.
Don't nominate
I
Paul
stand
for it.
corrected.
He may not.
Would you please step up to the microphone? I guess I was correct on that one.
Imagine that.
Yes.
He is a person.
Well, I'm Paul Lambert, and one of the members of our group, Darren Spildy, wasn't able to be with us, and he's been selected to be the chairman of our group. The rest of our esteemed group is sitting here in the back, so Ann, Lori, and Amanda. And our project was to locate the Madison schools, and it dealt with visitors coming from out of town that may not necessarily, if you haven't been to Madison, know exactly where the schools are and the activities that are being held. And so, we find the same thing when we travel to maybe a town that you're not familiar with. So we thought if we could provide some signage, to help with that process. And, so that was really the underlying, theme is how we came up with this project. And we had kind of identified some major intersections in town that we would like to anticipate that the majority of the traffic coming to Madison would be. And understand that there's some different zoning areas associated with those. And then also the complexity of, part of that would fall into the state DOT as well. And so what we wanted to come before the commission to kind of get maybe your initial reaction to just the scope of the plan before we got into any further details. Because we see it as a partnership from not only, our small Leadership Madison group, but a partnership with the city and a partnership with the Madison Public School System. And so we are planning to go and talk to them about this concept, and maybe specifically with the Booster Club to see if we can partner with them. So, feel free to chime in anytime. One of the, and again, the placement of the sign, the size of the sign, all would bear as to the zoning application. And just as an example, one of the things that we had came up with would be a sign like this that would be typically based on the speed that you're traveling, on what the physical size would have to be, so at a glance you could capture the different things. Now obviously these directions that are on here aren't correct, but it just kind of gives you an idea as to what would be involved. So a sign like this we would anticipate would be maybe out near Prostralos when you turn and came north on the 4-lane, you'd capture, these were the major schools. Or north on Highway 81, this would be a sign that would be like this. This physical size we anticipated could be 5 feet by 6 feet with like 2 posts. Because of the, especially on 81 when you're traveling at a little higher rate of speed, to be able to see it. And We weren't gonna get as elaborate as to have it lit or anything like that at this point. It was gonna be probably more just a traditional type sign. And then as we would anticipate, if we could, as we, within the city, if we directed, let's say, for example, if we were on 81 and then we directed them to the east, when we got to the present Washington and 9th, we might need a sign that would take them left, because there is no access anymore if you reach the front of the school to get around to the back. You know, we're anticipating most of the signage would be used for athletic events, type of things, you know, where they'd be coming in the backside rather than the front side for maybe debate or activities like that. So, you know, with those types of intersections, possibly we could go with, you know, a small sign that would be in the right of way, and maybe nothing more than an arrow that said schools and type of thing. Again, not knowing what some of those restrictions are, attaching it to the existing street sign, or if it would be an additional sign, or, you know, type of thing. But primarily coming before you to see if you're interested in helping us pursue this and partner with us. And I guess our long-term thing would be the small signs within the city. We would hope that it would become property of the city, because then we wouldn't have to deal with the individual landowner as that land perhaps might change. So those are the concepts. Questions?
Okay. I like your thought. Have you thought about partnering with DSU? I was just trying to remember in that, if in the locations in that you had marked, if there were signs to DSU as well. You know, just something to consider. And then I would defer it to Fred and to Chad, you know, because you've got the engineering and you've got the maintenance and upkeep, you know, so I guess that's be, you know, what I would do is say, you know, visit with the two of them, and if it's something, you know, that you can work out, then I think it's something that they would bring back to the commission for action. Now, does anyone else have any comments, or?
Just one, if the city owns them and we hang them on street signs, do they have to meet reflectivity standards and all that? Or not?
I think technically probably yes, you know, as far as what's commonly referred to as the manual on uniform traffic control devices in the right-of-way, and of course you want to, you know, those would be for in the right-of-way. Now, if they're outside the right-of-way, then you wouldn't have to in any way, you know, that would be simply fall under some of the zoning regulations, the sign, specifically the sign part of the zoning ordinance, where that would be applicable, the standards would be applicable there. And I did happen to see Ms. Robeson's email memo, and it looked as if you identified initially maybe 4 locations, maybe, and 3 of the 4 were probably on the state highway? Is that?
Yeah, we-
Okay.
And initially, just taking a look at this map of Madison and the different zoning districts, and just trying to come up with, so initially we thought, you know, down here, near the classic corner, across from Prostralis probably, and we have contacted Steve Cook, thinking that a placement there might be on the private side, because we would be looking for a little larger type of sign. So as you turn the corner to come north, perhaps we could do something there. But then, you know, the Pizza Ranch corner obviously would be a fairly major one, and then up here on 81 and 9th Street, we did have a secondary one over here if someone came in on, you know, the old 34, you know, 3rd and Division, where there's some other public signs now, but those were kind of the primary ones. And then, again, a small one, we thought if you directed them up on North Washington at the Playhouse, you'd probably have to give them some direction to turn and go east. But,
Paul, if they were coming in on the old Highway 34, would you run them up Division then? Or
Well,
take them all the way to the
We,
stoplight and then up?
we thought to minimize the amount of signs we would have, if we could maybe just bring them all the way to Washington. That way, when we directed them up, we'd already have these other signs in place,
Yeah,
and we wouldn't have to add more signs somewhere else.
11th and Division,
Yeah.
turn them
Yeah,
there.
I realize it does kind of make it backtrack a little bit, but if we kind of kept them, the same thing. And I have noticed, your comment, Mayor, about ESU, and on 81 and 9th Street, there is a Dakota State sign there, and there are a couple other smaller ones in town, plus then they have the large one there, the Daktronics type sign. So,
Well, the only reason I asked, Paul, is I think you'd mentioned you talked with the DOT, and if it's in their right of way, you should talk with them. I think you said you'd already talked to them. But if you're outside, and then just on the private property, then we could talk about your zoning, the zoning requirements and such, and you've already talked to the landowner, so it seems like you're quite a ways down the road here.
well, we're trying to, kind of just touch base with the different entities that we think it will impact.
Yeah.
And then, as you and I talked, we would try to incorporate a sign similar to what, the DOT uses, so that it's a permanent type thing and it's not a maintenance issue, and, it meets the different, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. So,
What you're saying is you don't want to go out and paint it every year?
That's correct. That's correct.
I got just a couple other little points is, this is definitely a good idea. Where I live on Washington, and I have a lot of people that drive by and roll down the window, hey, can you tell me where the school is? And, so we just keep directing them up there, and so it's definitely needed. One other thing would be also then when you visit with the school, I would just suggest to them that they put even like GPS coordinates on their websites as to the locations of the basketball entrance that they want to use. And, because like the track and field, we're using the DSU field for that. So that's, you can't use just their permanent or regular address, physical address. You have to. So I'd suggest throwing that out. Everybody's got their Garmin's or smartphones or something, and so that's always something to maybe suggest to them that they could do. And other than that, I think your timing is good. Visit with these guys so that we know before rolling into budget time if we need to purchase some of these signs or help purchase in a partnership. Love the partnership idea. That's always a good idea too.
Okay. So yeah, I think we have a meeting with next week?
Yes.
Okay, and then try to finalize a little bit more and kind of figure out the placement and the size, then we can figure out what our cost things would be, and then work on our fundraiser side of things.
Yeah, see, in the placement and size, I think, that's where you want to, visit with Fred and Chad, before you get to your meeting, and then, they can help you out on those aspects. And
Right,
then when you're talking to the Booster Club and that, you can be a little more confident in your answers.
right. Because we figured with the new facilities up there, it probably would generate more activities, more things coming to Madison, and if we could help, welcome people, and if they had a general idea, but just as a reinforcement, I think I know it's this direction, as a reinforcement as they drive, and then they see a sign, and boom, And we included, in the St. Thomas, as well as the Madison Christian School.
Good.
Because it's, part of the chamber project, and they're chamber members, so we wanted to include them in that. Realize that there would be, some limited signage for those. for what they're gonna do.
And then I would also encourage you to visit with the superintendent and the business manager up there, because I had spoke to them, when they were in the construction phase to see if they had, included any signage in their bids and that. And so they're aware that, this has been discussed before.
Yeah, okay,
So
all right.
I'll
I think the
double
more
check
people
with-
you have in the loop, the better
Yeah.
it's going to work out.
Okay.
And I'll double check with Chief Pulford just to make sure he's okay with the traffic.
Fred
flow.
already did that when this
Okay.
first came up. I think it was discussed, correct?
Yeah.
He didn't seem to have any issues at
Yeah,
all.
I wouldn't think you would, so.
No, very good, very good
Excellent
concept.
concept. Good concept. I've been one of those
Good
lost
luck with
parents
it.
in other towns, so
Mhm.
I
Many
commend you for
times.
your efforts.
Yes.
You and me both.
And that's where the comment to to Chief Pulford kind of came from. Fred and I were talking about this a little bit, and I wondered if there was a reason that every town you go to, they don't sign the schools, and I wondered if there was a security reason or,
Yeah.
Oh,
but I couldn't tell you a single town that I've driven to or through that has signs to the schools. And
Oh, I can-
it would be great a
I
lot
can
of
name
times.
3 or 4. Yeah, Flanders has signs showing you where their schools are. Hartford has signs showing you where their schools are, so if you come into town and are lost, like I have been. So,
Well, usually, you're
yeah.
running the last minute, they're trying to.
Yeah.
You're trying,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
navigate,
You'd like to
figure it
make the
out.
tip-off or the kickoff
Busy,
or
yeah.
something.
yeah. No, very, very good. Any other questions or comments?
All right,
Thank you.
thank you for your time, and
Good project.
we'll be back in touch.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I just, one final comment for the commission is that, this is the second really good project that's come out of this Leadership Madison group, and so I just want to recognize that group, and hopefully budget time, maybe we can do a little extra help for them as well. So keep that in mind.
Yep, I would agree with that. So do we have a motion to acknowledge?
So move.
Second.
Hey, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. January building permit report is attached. Any questions or comments or discussion?
Make a motion to acknowledge the January building permit.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no old business, new business, bid number 820, approve specifications and set bid date for the generation plant equipment upgrades. And I will ask Chad or Fred if either of them have any comments they want to make. This is something that has been ongoing, and
I would only submit that this is for basically the installation of the materials for the emissions control project at the generation plant. That was a requirement of EPA, and we're proceeding with that project. The deadline per the EPA standards and our extension thereof is May 2nd. So-
2014.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't know if you had any more, Dennis, or?
No, I looked, we met with DGR, looked through it again. I did see the changes we talked about they made, so.
Looks good to go? Okay, Fred, any? Okay, very good.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move to approve the specifications and set the bid date for the generation plant equipment.
And the bid date will be?
I believe it says bids up until 1:30 PM on February 16th, 26th, is that right?
26th, right. Mhm.
Okay,
2014.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Appoint to the Water Advisory Committee, Arnie Balzer, Jeremiah Corbin, Ken Johnson, Pat Keating, Connie Silva, Roy Lindsay, and Commissioner Dick Erickson. Any discussion?
I would make a motion to approve the Water Advisory Committee as listed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Appoint the staff person responsible for the Water Advisory Committee, and that would be myself. Unless there's someone else who wants to jump in there.
I'll make a motion to approve appointing Mr. Mayor Roy Lindsay as the staff person responsible for the Water Advisory Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I want to thank, we have a couple of the members that are in the audience, and definitely, you guys got a big chore in front of you, and going to be a lot of research and a lot of work to be done, so thank you.
And I will acknowledge that as well, so.
Mr. Mayor, I didn't see it on the agenda, but I think there should be an agenda item to approve the resolution of establishing that committee.
That was already
We-
been done.
we did
Yep,
that.
I just
We did that,
included it for
yeah.
reference.
Okay,
We
all
did
right.
that.
I just didn't know if it had been done. All
We
right.
did that before the well
All right,
collapsed.
good, good. I want to make sure we've been done. It was in there,
September
so.
23rd, actually.
Okay, well, I have memory loss problems, so,
That's okay, that's okay.
Yeah, good catch, though.
thank you.
You also have some personnel changes attached. Are there any discussion?
I'll move
questions?
to approve the personnel as submitted.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no other announcements or other business, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, and thank you, everyone. So